Well, good morning, students, ladies and gentlemen. This morning I'd like to officially welcome the Most Reverend Timothy Costello, Archbishop of Perth, the Most Reverend Donald Sproxton, Auxiliary Bishop of Perth, Dr Deborah Sace, Acting Executive Director, Catholic Education, Western Australia. We also acknowledge other special guests today, the Reverend Father Kaz Stuglik, Parish Priest, Floric Wembley, Reverend Father Peter Hung, Parish Priest, Double View, Sister Kerry Willison, Director of Liturgy, Archdiocese of Perth, Miss Diana Altieri, Team Leader of Religious Education and Faith Formation Team, Catholic Education, Western Australia, Miss Simone Warden, Head of Marketing and Communications, Mr Terry Wilson, Chief Operations Officer and Vicar for Social Outreach, the Archdiocese of Perth. Today we welcome all special guests. We welcome all schools, student representatives and their teachers to Newman College. I would now like to ask Darcy Bird, Student Counsellor at Newman College, to lead our acknowledgement of country.
We acknowledge the Noongar people who are the traditional custodians of this land. We also pay respect to the elders past and present of the Noongar Nation and extend that respect to other Aboriginal people present.
Thank you, Darcy. Today we are celebrating the feast of our founder, St Martin Champagne, a man who 201 years ago made a pledge to support and walk with the young people in southern France, providing an education, a dream and a hope for a better future. Today at Newman College, that dream is our reality in the education of over 1,900 students across PK to Year 12. We at Newman College are one of 53 Mara schools across the country, where there are over 30,000 people, young people, involved in Mara's ministry. Here in Australia, we are one of 83 countries where this dream of St Marcelin is still alive today. Our vision for learning here at Newman College, Shine Through Discovery, Let Your Light Shine, is at the heart of who we are and how we seek to have Christ at the centre of our community in the relationships that we form. This morning, I'd like to introduce to you our Year 4 students from Newman College who will perform a liturgical dance, We Found Love, sung by Lindsay Sterling with vocals and drumming recorded in Kenya. This Year 4 students have been prepared by teacher Miss Stephanie Kate Crothers. This morning, as a community, let us make them feel welcome.
Without
Thank you, Year 4. I would like to call to the lectern the Most Reverend Donald Sproxton, Auxiliary Bishop of Perth and Chairman of LifeLink.
I thank Mr. Finneran for his very warm welcome. I think maybe we could go to the prayer that we have prepared for this morning, just to put us in that frame of mind of listening and hearing maybe a word that the Lord wishes to bring to us as we launch LifeLink for the primary schools this year. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. God of mercy and compassion, we praise you for your goodness. May your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Fill us with the spirit of loving service as we recognise in those we meet the face of Jesus, your Son. Through the generous work of our LifeLink welfare agencies, may burdens be lifted from the shoulders of your people, and may they feel the warmth of your kindness and love. We ask this through Christ our Lord. Amen. And once more, I thank Mr. Finneran for his warm welcome, and I wish everyone here a very good morning. Archbishop Timothy and I are truly delighted that you have joined us for this morning as we launch the LifeLink Day for 2018 for primary schools. We have here representatives from 74 of the 90 primary schools in our archdiocese, which is wonderful, and I'm very happy to see you all. I'd like to acknowledge our valued partner, Catholic Education Western Australia, for its generous assistance in making today's event possible, and especially to Mr. Finneran and everyone here at Newman College for generously hosting our launch again this year. I should mention that we're filming our launch today so that everyone at your school will be able to be part of this launch by accessing the video online via our LifeLink website. We might ask ourselves, what is LifeLink? Why was it started? And what does it do? And whom do we help? To answer these questions, we have a wonderful video presentation which many of you may have already seen. I hope so. But if you haven't, I'd like to share this with you now. It's called Welcome to LifeLink, and this is an edited version of the full video you'll find online.
Welcome everybody. LifeLink was established by the Archdiocese of Perth in 1994 as the unifying name under which the many welfare and social service agencies established or supported by the Church would be funded and promoted. A number of our agencies have served people in need within communities throughout Western Australia for more than 30 years and are well known. Organisations such as Centrecare, Identity WA and Centrecare Employment and Training. The Shopfront, Day Dawn and Emmaus community organisations were established more recently to meet emerging needs identified within the community. Each agency or service, funded or supported through LifeLink, represents an essential part of the Church's mission to reach out to those in need and, in doing so, express faith in a direct and tangible manner. As you all know, as Catholics, we believe that it is through service to others that we see and experience the true face of Jesus. Pope Francis expressed this when he said, "It is not only in what we believe and what we say, but in what we do that we come to fully know and understand the message of love which Jesus brought to the world. Just as Jesus walked with and reached out to the poor, the lonely, the isolated and the abused, we too are called upon to give concrete expression to our faith through our active service to others. Through the wonderful work of our LifeLink agencies, we bear witness to and are a vital part of engaging with people who reach out to us for help. I hope you enjoy this informational video.
LifeLink is not a welfare organisation. It is the fundraising and promotional arm for the many welfare agencies and services established by the Archdiocese of Perth. LifeLink currently provides funding support to the following agencies and organisations established or supported by the Church: Catholic Ministry for people who are deaf or hearing impaired, Catholic Outreach, Centre Care Employment and Training, Centre Care Incorporated, Juraminda, Day Dawn Advocacy Centre, Emmanuel Centre, Emmaus Community, Identity WA, Samaritan Projects, The Shopfront.
Whilst it may not always be obvious, there are thousands of people who desperately need our help right here in Perth and throughout WA.
LifeLink Catholic caring agencies reach out to more than 34,000 Western Australian families and individuals in need each year. By providing services and respite care to individuals, families and children with physical or intellectual disability. By offering safe refuge and assistance for women and children escaping domestic abuse or violence. Providing emergency housing, skills training for the unemployed, food and support for the homeless, and caring homes for people battling mental health conditions.
The Shopfront started in 2001. I went to see Archbishop Hickey about the problem we had with all the homeless people and looking for help. And so he told me, why don't you go and start a Shopfront? So the Shopfront first is a drop-in centre, and they get lovely volunteers who are warm and welcoming to greet them. But it's also a referral. So also then if you're homeless or you're looking for assistance, the Shopfront networks with a wide group of people so that they can provide emergency assistance for people who are in need. Last year, 25,000 people came through Shopfront. People can help by donating to Shopfront financially. Other people may say, look, we'd like to help with blankets or canned drives. So people can help in many ways, and all of it is really, really appreciated. Most recently of someone, a lady that we were able to help who needed some assistance for Christmas presents, and just seeing that family and the joy and the love that they experience by receiving the gifts of Christmas presents. And then her children were so excited when I went to see them. Oh, she's come with gifts. And they asked me, please eat with us, please share with us. Thank you for the love you've shown us. And that to me is repeated again and again to all these people who come to receive a touch of love. I think it's really important to recognise the amazing work that all our parishes do to support Shopfront. Most of our volunteers come directly from the parishes. They give up their time to come and support those who are in need. And without the parishes and the support from our parishes, Shopfront would not be the warm, welcoming and caring place it is.
Emmaus started in 1996 when I was working in a crisis unit. People were coming into the crisis unit and were coming back to the crisis unit constantly. I prayed and asked the Lord to give us a property where we could have long-term independent community living. The benefits of community living are that people in the long term become family. Our mission statement is that every person created by God deserves to love and be loved, to be respected and to be taken seriously. This is what we strive for, especially with people who live with mental health issues. Our basis is the Jesus message. It's simple, yet radical. It's about love. If our community grows, it will be in love. It's not for profit, it's for the love of our brothers and sisters. If Emmaus didn't exist, I guess the people would be living in hostels. The difference between a hostel and Emmaus is a hostel is accommodation. We're here, it's a home, and that's what we're striving for anyway. If I had a message regarding how people should treat people with mental health issues, it's the same as treating someone with diabetes or cancer. So the message would be that we are all connected, we are all brothers and sisters, and love. Love is the message. I can't even tell you how strongly I feel and this community feels about this message. People can support us by supporting LifeLink because we're part of a web of agencies that help our brothers and sisters. And if people feel in their heart, how can I do this? And I want to do something here, support LifeLink. Because it does go straight to the source, believe me, and it has helped in so many ways here, and other agencies. I'm friends with other agencies, and it helps many people.
Each year, LifeLink supported agencies deliver more than $50 million of professional programs, caring services, qualified personnel and resources for the benefit of the Western Australian community.
Thankfully, much of this funding is provided through various state and federal government grants and service contracts. However, to ensure our agencies are appropriately funded, the Church, through LifeLink, provides more than $1.2 million in direct funding each and every year. In addition to the substantial assistance the Church already provides with buildings and properties utilised by these welfare agencies. LifeLink's mission, its purpose, is to raise this required $1.2 million through my annual fundraising appeals and with the enthusiastic support of Catholic schools in this Archdiocese on LifeLink Day.
More information about LifeLink, photos, articles and teaching resources are now available on our new website. Please visit us at www.lifelink.com.au.
Thank you for taking the time to learn more about LifeLink and the work of our social service agencies. It's up to all of us to help make a difference. Let us reach out with generosity, with compassion and with love when someone asks us for help.
So we heard in that video that LifeLink agencies reach out to help more than 34,000 Western Australians in need each year. Sometimes I think that the message behind this number can be lost. So to put this into some perspective, 34,000 people is equivalent to the entire populations of Sampson, Cardinia, Willagee, Murdoch, Coolbellup and Hamilton Hill. So let's talk about LifeLink Day. The Archbishop's LifeLink Day initiative for Catholic schools started in 1999. What we hope to achieve through LifeLink Day is to share with you how the Church responds to people in need in the community, to remind ourselves that Jesus taught us that we all have a responsibility to help our brothers and sisters in need, to share with you information about our LifeLink social service agencies, which help many thousands of Western Australian families and individuals in need each year, and to encourage you to be generous and to make a gift to help support people in need throughout Western Australia. I'm very pleased to say that you have all embraced and enthusiastically participated in LifeLink Day ever since it first began in 1999. We're grateful for all the ongoing partnership with Catholic Education WA, and so grateful to you, the principals, the teachers, and students from our primary schools. I'm delighted to report that collectively, our Catholic primary and secondary schools have raised more than $1.8 million to support LifeLink Day, and that every dollar has been directed to the service and care of people in need in our community. This is a remarkable achievement, and you are to be congratulated on your efforts, so I think we should give ourselves an applause. Last year, I'm delighted to say that our primary and secondary schools raised $127,280 and actually exceeded the Archbishop's fundraising goal. So thank you all for your outstanding generosity. The Archbishop and I hope that this year you'll once again join together and raise even more in this special year of youth, which the Archbishop will speak on during his address shortly. But now it's my pleasure to introduce our Archbishop, Archbishop Timothy Costello, to speak with you and to officially launch LifeLink Day 2018.
Good morning, everybody. It's great to see you all here. And as Mr. Mendez explained, some of you had a bit of a challenge getting here because of the accident on the freeway. Some may be still trying to get here. But it's great that you could come and be with us on this very important occasion when we launch LifeLink Day for our primary schools right across the Archdiocese of Perth. I really look forward every year to coming to this day because it really lifts my own spirits to see the quality of the young people who are a part of our Catholic education system here in WA and particularly here in the Archdiocese of Perth, and not just the quality of our students, but the quality of the people who care for you and teach you and look after you in the schools. So thank you all very much. I wanted to begin this morning by just saying that belonging to a Catholic school really means that in one way or another, you are a vital part of the community of your school, and your school is a vital part of the community which we call the Catholic Church here in the Archdiocese of Perth. Catholic Church is a big organisation, as you know. There's lots and lots of people and lots of activities, and we've heard about some of our social outreach activities this morning in the video that you've just watched. If we had to try and sum it all up and say, well, what's the Catholic Church all about? There are lots of ways of answering a question like that, but one way of answering it would be to say this, that the Catholic Church exists. And when I say the Catholic Church, I don't mean buildings, I mean people. So it's all of us together. The Catholic Church exists to help people grow to know and to love and to serve God by following Jesus. In the end, that's what it's all about. We try to follow Jesus, and in following him, we find ourselves growing in our knowledge of God and our love of God and our desire to serve God. And how do we serve God? By reaching out and serving God's people. So in other words, the Catholic Church exists to help us all become better disciples of Jesus. Now, a disciple, it's a word that we tend to only use in sort of church language, but a disciple is simply someone who has a teacher and someone who learns from that teacher and follows in that teacher's footsteps. That's what a disciple is. So in a sense, all of the students here are disciples of your teachers at school. But much more importantly, because we're all part of Catholic education, we're disciples of Jesus. He's our teacher. He's the one we follow. He's the one we try and learn from. He's the one we try and base our lives upon. And one of the things that Jesus said about himself, and this is really what I wanted to talk about a little bit this morning, is that Jesus described himself as a good shepherd. I'm sure you know many of the stories from the Gospels about Jesus when he talked to his disciples about himself as a good shepherd. So up there on the screen, you can see that I've summed it all up by saying that the Catholic community of Perth, and all of us here this morning are part of the Catholic community of Perth. I don't mean the city of Perth, I mean the Archdiocese of Perth. Together, not on our own, but together, we form a people. And we're a particular group of people because the thing that makes us unique is that we walk together in the footsteps of the Good Shepherd. So I think it's worth our while this morning to spend just a few minutes asking ourselves, I wonder what Jesus was on about when he talked about himself as the Good Shepherd. One of the things that we can do this morning is really try and get into the heart of what Jesus was on about when he talked about himself as a good shepherd. One of the things he said was, I am the good shepherd. And then he went on to explain what a good shepherd is really all about. He said, the good shepherd is the person who gives up his or her life for the sheep. So he's using an image that was very familiar to the people of his own time. They knew all about shepherds. They knew all about sheep. They knew how important it was for sheep to have a good shepherd. So Jesus used that image to help people understand what his mission was and what he thought was really important. I am the good shepherd, he says, and the good shepherd is someone who gives up his life for his sheep. Jesus didn't just mean that the good shepherd dies if he has to for his sheep. He really meant that the good shepherd lives for his sheep. You don't have to wait till the end of your life to make your life a gift to other people. You do that right away. Every single one of us here this morning can already begin, if we haven't already, to make our lives a gift for other people. He put himself last and others first. He thought about what others needed before he thought about what he needed. He was always on the lookout to help people whenever he could. That's what it means to give up your life for your sheep. To live for the sheep rather than just to live selfishly just for yourself. And Jesus was very practical about what being a good shepherd means. One of the things he said is, I am the good shepherd, I know my sheep, and they know me. Now we're thinking about LifeLink this morning and thinking about all the people who are in need of help. And one of the things we need to do is to try and get to know these people and understand the situation that they're in. Because the best way to help other people is to get to know them. Otherwise you might end up giving them things that they don't even need or don't even want. So you've got to get to know people so you can understand what they really need and what will really help them. And we have to do it in terms of practical situations. We're all here this morning and we're all talking about it, but the most important thing is when we leave here and we go back to school and we go back to home and we go into our neighbourhoods, that we do something about it. And the key to it is being prepared to spend time with people in need. Being with others, being a part of their lives. That's really the heart of it. And it's one of the things that Pope Francis is always saying to us. Don't just talk about helping people, actually be with people, because just being with them is a help already. One of the things that happens when you're with people and you get to know them and they get to know you is that they begin to trust you. And if they begin to trust you, then they will want to be with you, because we all like to be around people that we can trust. And then if they begin to trust us and they want to be with us, then they might start to follow us and learn from us and have us as a part of their lives. And that's really important. But you know what's equally important? We actually have to be trustworthy. So we've got to be honest. We've got to have honest hearts about this. We reach out to people in need because we really want to help them. we've got a heart that feels for them. And we know that we can help them, and so we're with them and we travel along the journey of their day-to-day lives with them. What might be some of the practical ways in which we can do this? Well, a true friend proves him or herself when someone is in trouble and you are there to be with them and to help them. And in terms of the image that Jesus used, the image of the Good Shepherd, a shepherd is always keeping his eye on the sheep so that he's right on top of things if he sees that there's a problem. That's part of being with people. You don't know that people are in trouble if you're not with them. And even if you're with them, you won't realise that they're in trouble unless you've got eyes that are open and on the lookout for people in need. And then a true shepherd, a really good shepherd, doesn't just see something over there and think, oh, that person's in strife, that person's in trouble. A good shepherd decides to do something to help, to try and bring back a person who's got lost, to help people understand if they've become a bit confused about something, or to just be a friend to people if they're lonely and if they're isolated. But to do it, you've got to first realise that the problem's there, and you won't do that unless, like Jesus, as the Good Shepherd, you've made an effort to keep your eyes open and see what people need, and then allow that heart to grow in you that wants to reach out and help them. So the big question then becomes, what can I do? What do I need to do to become a good shepherd? As you look at yourself and you think about your own life and how much of your life is spent thinking more about yourself than about others, maybe you could say to yourself, I wonder what needs to change in me so that I could actually be a good shepherd to people. You could ask that as an individual, but you could ask it as a school. When you go back to your school, except the people from Newman because you're here already, when you go back to your school, you might sit down with a few of your friends and maybe with some of your teachers and say, the Archbishop's encouraging us to try and make the school a place that's full of good shepherds. What could we do in our school to help that grow and develop a bit more than is already the case? This is a question then, I think, for you to think about, maybe when you're driving back to school this morning, when you get back to school and in the days and weeks ahead. But it won't be enough just to talk about it, either with your friends or even with your teachers. What has to happen is that the talking about it turns into doing something about it. You have to be able to put it into practice. And that's really what LifeLink is about in a way. And it's a really important way, not the only way, but a really important way of becoming good shepherds for other people and developing that heart in yourselves that means that you want to help other people. So let's think a little bit about what a good shepherd does and what it would look like if we were doing our best to be good shepherds to each other, first and foremost to each other, at school and at home, and then beyond that to the people in our communities and the people in the society in which we live. Most shepherds in the old days, and many still today in certain countries, carry a shepherd's staff. You know what I'm talking about when I talk about a shepherd's staff, and you'll see a few images of it there on the screen. Sometimes shepherds use that staff to keep the flock together, stop everybody wandering away, and to make sure that the flock is heading in the right direction. But of course, that presumes that the shepherd knows what the right direction is, because if the shepherd doesn't know where he or she's going, they're going to take the sheep into all sorts of wrong places. So that's a bit of a responsibility for you if you're going to become good shepherds, to know where you're going, which is really to say to know where God is asking you to go, where Jesus is leading you, and then to follow and to help other people. So the staff is a bit of a symbol of that desire to help other people, sort of bring them back, keep them together, make sure they're heading in the right direction. Sometimes, sheep tend to run around in all kinds of different directions. And so sometimes the shepherd actually uses his staff to grab one by the neck and drag it back into the flock. I'm not suggesting that you run around grabbing people by the neck, but the idea of seeing when people are heading in the wrong direction and doing something to help them get back into the right path is part of what a good shepherd does. Sometimes sheep can be particularly troublesome. I haven't had much to do with sheep myself, but that's what every shepherd or every farmer has ever told me. So sometimes it's not an easy job, and so you've got to have a fair bit of persistence. And you do really need to know exactly where you're going and where you want to lead the sheep. But as I say, really to know where the Lord is calling you and where the Lord wants us to lead the sheep. Shepherds aren't the only people who have staffs, shepherd's crooks. Bishops also have staves or shepherd's crooks. So if you ever see a bishop walking around with one of these black cases, he hasn't got a rifle or something in it. It's his crozier, his sharp, we call it a crozier, the shepherd's staff. So he puts it all together, and as you can see, it takes a little while because it's quite big, and you wouldn't want to be carrying this around unless you could pull it apart and put it in a case somehow or other. So sometimes, as I say, bishops also carry a kind of a version of the shepherd's staff, and this is mine. This was given to me, believe it or not, when I became a bishop about 11 years ago by the school that I used to go to in Melbourne. So this is my shepherd's staff, and I carry it with me. Normally I wouldn't bring it to a thing like this. Normally it's when I'm saying mass or maybe doing confirmations or something like that, or in the cathedral. And Bishop Don also has one that he uses. All bishops use one of these shepherd's staffs. And they have it for two reasons. The first is because it's meant to be a reminder to, not just to the bishop, but to all of us, that when we see it, what comes into our mind is the idea that Jesus had of himself as the Good Shepherd, and all that I've just been talking about, what being a shepherd means. And then the second thing is to remind ourselves, and this is part of the bishop's role, to remind ourselves that we're disciples of Jesus, and if he's a good shepherd, and we're disciples, then we're supposed to be good shepherds to each other. So that's why the bishop carries his bishop's staff. And as you can see, there's a picture on the screen there of me with a different one, but we've got a couple in the cathedral that we use from time to time. So this is the big question, once again, that I want to put to you. What does it actually mean to be a good shepherd? In the slide that's going to come up on the screen now, you'll see an image of some children feeding some sheep. One of the things a shepherd does is to make sure that the sheep have plenty to eat and drink and are well looked after. And we know, because we see it on the news and we see it in our streets when we go into the city or walk around the shopping centres and other places, that there are lots of people in our own city and in our own suburbs, maybe even in our own school, who really don't have enough of the basic things they need to live a rich and fulfilling and happy life. And so the real question today that I want to put to every one of us here is, what can I, and more importantly, what can we do about that? So that's really the question that that I'm asking you to take back to your school this morning, to your school community. What can we do to be good shepherds to the people in our city and in our suburbs, even perhaps in our school, who need a little bit of help because life has just become such a struggle for them? It would be very hard for us to put our hands up and say, I'm a disciple of Jesus, if we hadn't decided to do something about this. And when we do, it's really important that we don't get angry with people, or we don't blame people, or we don't sort of criticise them because they're finding life difficult at the moment, because all of us at different times will find life a bit difficult. All the shepherd wants to do is recognise that someone's in need, and the shepherd's determined to do something about it. So, a good shepherd is someone who works really hard to keep his flock together, to stop fights and quarrels when they start developing, to calm things down when they get out of control. And he does all of that, or she does all of that, because good shepherds know that a flock, a group of people, will be happy and contented when it's united and cared for and supported, and it will be unhappy and troublesome when it doesn't feel cared for and respected and loved and looked after. So at home, at school, in our wider communities, are we going to be people who keep everybody united, or are we going to be people who, by the way we behave, bring anger and unhappiness and fights and quarrels into our communities, into our families, into our classrooms, into our school, and into our wider society? What kind of person do I want to grow into? What kind of people do we want to be? What kind of school do I want to be a part of? I hope you'd answer those questions by saying, I'd love to be a school and a community that is walking in the footsteps of Jesus, the Good Shepherd, because that's the way we'll find happiness, and it's the way we'll be able to share that happiness with each other. So there are so many lost and lonely and frightened people, and we saw some of them up on the screen during the video. They're in our homes, they're in our schools, they're in our streets. What can we do to help? It's a hard job to be a really good shepherd, especially to be a really good shepherd all the time. But one of the things about being disciples of Jesus is that we know we don't have to do this on our own because we've got him to help us. He helps us by his good example. He helps us by the fact that he's actually present in our lives. And he helps us through the fact that he gives us the gift of his Holy Spirit to strengthen us when we're just finding it all a little bit too hard. So we need to turn to him and ask him to help us to be the good shepherds he's calling us to be. So I wanted to finish this part of my little talk by inviting you all to join me in a very simple prayer. It'll come up on the screen in a moment, and I'd like to for us to pray this together. We'll take it slowly because we don't want to say the prayer, we want to pray the prayer. So we need to think about the words, let the words sink into our minds and into our hearts, but we'll pray it together. I'll lead it so we can all try and stick together. Lord, give us a heart like yours so that we can love like you and care like you and give like you. Show us how to be good shepherds to each other, just as you are a good shepherd to us. Help us to be generous in supporting LifeLink so that people who are lost or lonely or suffering will know that you care for them because they experience your care through us. Amen. Okay, nearly finished. There are a couple of little things that we still need to do, and one of them is that every year during this launch, I announce which school or schools will receive the Archbishop's Spirit Award for last year's effort. So in 2018, we're going to acknowledge and congratulate and thank those schools who really did such a fantastic job last year. The Spirit Award is really important for you to know that the Spirit Award isn't based just on the amount of money people raise. Obviously, it's important because we need the money to reach out to people in need. But it's more than just raising money. It's the heart with which you raise the money that's the really important thing. So The Spirit Award goes to that school or those schools which demonstrate an active support for my LifeLink Day initiative, for the school or schools which embrace the goals of LifeLink, that is, to not only learn about the Church's response to people in need in the Archdiocese, but to also undertake some form of fundraising in support of the social service agencies funded through LifeLink. It goes to the school that commits to educating students on their responsibility to care for those less fortunate in our community. And it goes to the school which promotes an ethos, encourages a kind of a spirit in the school of caring and compassion to students, teachers, parents, and the wider community, sort of a recognition that we all have a responsibility to show love and compassion, and of course not just on LifeLink Day, but every day. So on the screen now you're going to see a list of all of those schools who've received the Spirit Award since it was first presented in 1999. And as you will see, last year, the joint recipients were Mercy College in Kundula, a large secondary school, and St Helena's Primary School in Allenbrook. So that was the winners for 2016. I'm quite genuine when I say that every school is deserving of receiving this award, because every school that I'm aware of really does get involved and is enthusiastic and does its best in terms of what I've talked about today, to be a school full of good shepherds. However, in presenting the Spirit Award each year, and Mr. Mendez helps us with this, and Bishop Don and I make the decision, we try to acknowledge those schools that we think have made an extra effort, been especially creative, or gone that extra little bit of distance to help people in need. And it's always hard, it's always a difficult decision. There were many schools we had to choose from. So before I announce the two winners, one's a secondary school and one's a primary school, before I announce the two winners, I do want to just make mention of four primary schools that really need to be acknowledged in a special way. So my thanks to all of you, but in a particular way to everyone at Xavier Catholic Primary School in Hilbert, St Lawrence's Primary School in Balcatta, St Joseph's Primary School in Southern Cross, and St Gerard's in Westminster. There are also four secondary schools. I'll just quickly mention them. There was Mater Dei College in Edgewater, La Salle College in Midland, Corpus Christi College in Bateman, and Mercedes College in Perth. This year, Bishop Don and I have once again selected two schools, one a secondary school and one a primary school. I'm not sure what's coming up on the slide first, but I'll tell you the secondary school that's the winner first, and that was Seton Catholic College in Sampson. So congratulations to Seton Catholic College. And I'm really pleased to be able to announce that this year's winner, or the winner for last year's effort in the primary schools around the Archdiocese, is St Mary's School in Merredin. So a big round of applause to them. So Bishop Sproxton and I ask all of you to enthusiastically support our LifeLink Day initiative, because we're hoping to raise a minimum of $130,000 for people in need this year, because as you'd all be aware, the needs seem to be growing as each year goes by. So with that, I'm very happy, very delighted to officially launch LifeLink Day for 2018 and to offer you, all of you, a very special blessing. So let's just bow our heads and ask now that the Lord will send his blessing upon us. So as we pray for this blessing, we ask the Lord to give each one of us the heart of a good shepherd, the eyes of a good shepherd, the voice of the good shepherd, and the love of the good shepherd. And may Almighty God bless all of you in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Thank you very much. And it's my pleasure now to invite Dr. Deborah Sayce, the Acting Executive Director of Catholic Education Western Australia, to share a few thoughts with you. Please make her welcome.
Thank you, Archbishop, and good morning to you all. Special welcome certainly to Archbishop Tim, Bishop Don, Father Kaz and Father Peter, and a certain thank you to Mr. Finneran as Principal here at Newman College. It's just wonderful to be back here. It is a privilege to be here amongst the 74 different primary school students and school staff and principals in the Archdiocese of Perth. It's an amazing turnout and it's just wonderful despite everything. I like to reflect on what Bishop Sproxton shared with us this morning, that 34,000 West Australians in need are helped by LifeLink agencies each year. When you hear those numbers, it really magnifies just how valuable the work LifeLink is and just how many lives it touches. How amazing it is to look back on the first LifeLink back in 1999. Many of you weren't born. Since then, Archdiocesan Catholic schools have continuously supported these agencies to help people in need. I see this as one of the ways we can live out the gospel by building a system to help others. Today's LifeLink launch for primary schools is being made even more special this year with the personal cards you are invited to make, which will be shared later in the year at the Archbishop's annual Christmas appeal for LifeLink. And these will be shared with those who have been helped by LifeLink agencies. Your special messages will be well received and a wonderful representation of our unity through faith. Well done also to the Year 4 students on their inspiring liturgical dance. Being the Year of Youth, it is wonderful that you have shared your gift of dance to help us celebrate the launch of this important day. I hope that you all take the opportunity to get involved in the Year of Youth in your schools. I would like to join Archbishop Costello and all of you in once again congratulating St Mary's School in Merredin and Seton Catholic College in Samson on winning the Archbishop Spirit Award for 2017. Also to all the schools who are recognised for your outstanding efforts. I'm proud of each of our schools who do such a wonderful job in supporting LifeLink each year, and you should be proud of yourselves too. Supporting LifeLink with your school is an obvious example of discipleship in action, demonstrating that your education and development as leaders and future leaders is given the strongest foundation when based around serving God and serving others. Your involvement in LifeLink supports the selfless work of Catholic agencies who serve those who find themselves on the margins of society. Responding to the world through initiatives such as LifeLink shows how we can continue to focus on listening to the needs of our community and giving a voice to those in our community who are less fortunate than us. I hope that today you have all learned something new about the important work of LifeLink agencies and that you have been inspired to support the efforts in serving the disadvantaged and the marginalised as much as I have. I'm very proud of how our Catholic schools have supported LifeLink since 1990 and the many other church agencies throughout our state, and I'm excited to see how we will continue to do so. So I hope we meet the challenge of Archbishop Tim and Bishop Don on achieving our targeted goal, but it's in the spirit of what you do and why you do it is far more important. So well done and thank you so much for your generosity of time, service and also supporting these agencies. Thank you.
A couple of people have mentioned that this is a special year because it's the Year of Youth, and because it is a special year, this year we wanted to send everybody home, not every single person, but every school, with a memento. And it's quite an impressive memento. It's a special plaque that is being presented to each school in recognition of your contribution over many years, hopefully including this year, to the Archbishop's LifeLink appeal.